We'll get started. I want to welcome everyone to the Monday, December 11th, 2023 meeting of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. I'm Jeff Benton, President of the Board this year, in my final month as President. To my left is Vice President and fellow Commissioner Gary Merrill. To my right is fellow Commissioner Barb Lewis, Administrator Tracy Davies, and Deputy Administrators Dawn Houston, Eric Hostetler. Our clerks, Brandy Wilson, Jennifer Walraven. We can begin.
Resolution number 23-1052, in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held December 4th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 23-1052. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We do not have any public comment today. That brings us to item number 3, resolution number 23-1053, in the matter of approving purchase orders and now certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM APR 1008.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 23-1053. Mr. Merrill?
So moved.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1054, in the matter of acknowledging receipt of the 2023 annual billing tax and assessment collection fund report.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. No discussion. Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1054. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Our next item, 5, is a presentation from AMCG as an airport study consultant. And we welcome David Benner and Joseph Walker.
Good morning, Commissioners, staff, and attendees. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today and to present and talk to you a little bit about the current initiative of exploring the feasibility of forming a regional airport authority.
If you could identify yourself.
Sure,
We're
David
recording
Benner.
the video and audio.
Yep, David Benner with Aviation Management Consulting Group.
Okay.
And as we are getting this process started, we are here on site, having a lot of meetings over the next couple days, next 2 days. So just want to give a quick introduction to where we are at in the process that we'll be going through here over the next number of weeks, number of months. So we're aviation consultants. We work with the aviation businesses and airports all the time, every day. But airports are unique entities, unique assets. So we want to understand the details related to the airport as we go through this initiative. I do want to just give a quick introduction to who we are so you understand the perspective that we bring to this topic. As our name implies, we're aviation management consultants. We work primarily with the airports from a general aviation perspective. So not the commercial air carrier, airline type stuff, but we work with the airports, aviation businesses, governmental agencies across the country on topics related to the management and operation of airports. From a team standpoint, we can view these topics from the varied perspectives. We've operated airports, we've operated aviation businesses, we're pilots, we have an aircraft. So really we can look at these topics from all the different vantage points of the airport sponsor and the airport operator, the businesses located at the airport, the users, tenants, all those different perspectives. I joined the company 17 years ago after I finished my MBA and will be kind of leading this process, and I have Joe with me. He's relatively new to our team, but really brings the hands-on experience operating airports on the Pacific Northwest, and being the airport director at a 2-airport system. So Joe really brings that hands-on airport operations side to our question. But I just want to walk through kind of our scope elements quickly from an airport assessment standpoint. That's step 1, and then from the governance options analysis. So really from an assessment, we want to go through and really understand all the different details related to the airports, from a governance, management, all those different perspectives. But it really comes down to identifying those areas and what are those challenges going to be that need to be resolved prior to, during, or following a potential change in governance structure. So really it all goes back to that forming a regional airport authority. What are those key questions? So assessing the items that we need to address before, during, and after a potential change. So that's kind of our first question. We'll go through a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. There have been a number done at the airport somewhat recently. We'll go through those, update those, really focused back into that, potential governance change. So that will bring us down to identifying those initiatives, in that kind of sequential order before, during, and after, if the decision is made to change that governance. So that's kind of step one that we'll go through, and that really leads us into kind of the main question of what are those actual and perceived impacts of changing from the current status, operated and managed by the city, into an authority between the city and the county. So, going through that process, really, that's the crux of the issue. What are these impacts going to be? Real impacts that we can write down and project, and then those perceptions too, from a user standpoint, from a business standpoint. We'll go through a qualitative and quantitative analysis on all of these different pieces. So, just as an example, from an operational customer standpoint or internal, external, however you want to think about that, but with control comes responsibility. Then there's the financial piece. So what are all of these different impacts going to be if there is a change in the governance? How's that going to shift into the future? A big piece of this is going to be the financial impact. And the financial projection going forward, going through these processes, working with airports, we understand the financial side. We pride ourselves on being correct. We do this on a regular basis, but really getting into all of those details so we can project those revenues and the costs, the expenses, and then that capital piece. That's an important question. From a county standpoint, if I'm thinking about it from your perspective, what does this authority mean? What are some of these impacts going to be, not only on the qualitative side, but what are these real quantitative pieces going to be? We want to lay that out, explain what those impacts are going to be, how that's going to work, and then explain also what it means to operate and manage an airport. What are some of the responsibilities and some of the, there's, with airports, being federally obligated, that kind of gets us into the next piece, but there are assurances that come along with some of those federal obligations. But from a goals standpoint, really getting down into conveying the enhancements that need to occur at the airport, then into these internal, external impacts, the financial piece, and then the advantages that can come along with an airport authority. But there's challenges that are going to come along with that as well. How can those be mitigated? What is the structure going to be going forward? So just to, we're kind of getting things started. We have an understanding of where the airport is today, and this just kind of summarizes that. City-owned, elected, city council, an airport commission. There's some involvement from the county there. But we understand those powers and how it's structured today. We understand some of the standard statistics, from an FAA, National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems. It's a general aviation classification. In the asset study for the FAA, it's a regional airport. That gives us a picture of what this airport is. It's a Type 1 GA airport from ODOT, about 100 based aircraft, 40,000 annual operations. That gives us a picture of what this airport is. We work with airports every day, so that gives us that initial picture of where this fits in from an industry standpoint. But what are some of those details? And that's why we're here today and this week to really talk through some of those pieces. FBO services, that's fixed base operators, that's the fueling is provided by the city. What's the potential change to that if we move a different governance? How's that work? How's that fit in? Some of the businesses that are out there, there's flight training, maintenance, hangar that is available. Those are great things for a general aviation airport. But what are the changes that could come, and what are those perceived impacts? So we want to meet with all of them over the next 2 days here. Then just from an airport standpoint, the high development area there in the top right, that's not the only area of the airport that we'll be looking at. There's condo hangars, T hangars, corporate hangars, terminal building. We want to look at the entire airport. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? Just looking at that, you can see raw land. What is the opportunity there from a development standpoint? How can this fit in on a going forward basis? So that kind of takes us back to that SWOT analysis of what are some of those opportunities out into the future. How does that change if the governance structure of the airport changes? But some of the questions that we're going to be working through here with all the different meetings that we'll be having, really to understand not only where the airport is today, but where can it go into the future, and what are the different perspectives. An aviation business is going to look at it different than the city, which is likely going to look at it different than the county. Those are divergent perspectives, and that's okay, but we need to understand where can this airport go and what are those opportunities and threats into the future, all influencing back into that options analysis and what are some of those impacts and what's the financial picture of the airport going forward. But that really kind of wraps us up a little bit. Here is our timeline and kind of our next steps. We need a little bit of time to go through the assessment side, and then we need a little more time to go through the governance options analysis. But really, that's kind of our two key pieces for now. So, we are getting started. We've been provided a lot of information about the airport by the city, so that's been very helpful to get a really good picture of where the airport is today. Then going back, finish up the assessment, get that out, and then into the options analysis. So that's our kind of scope going forward. Here's our contact information. If there is any input going forward on the airport, feel free to email or call Joe or I. We like to talk about airports. We like to talk about these topics. So any input that you have, whether now or into the future, we'd be happy to talk through that with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very
Yeah, I'm
much.
sure we'll have some questions. Questions, Commissioner Rose?
I'll go first. I think we all go into this concept optimistic that there's an opportunity.
Yep.
But I do worry and concerned about the airport limitations, runway size. I heard a comment made last week at a meeting I attended that was a concern expressed, unrelated to the fact that you're here today. But
Okay.
that liability the taxpayers would incur is extremely important, and as we evaluate that, your comments you kind of ran together, so I'm just trying to give you my summary of
Yep.
what I'll be looking for. And this needs to be a win-win for the city, it needs to be a win-win for the county.
Yep.
And most important, it needs to be a win-win for the taxpayers. And of course, economic opportunities that may come out of this, but what are the liabilities and risks that the taxpayers will incur? So that's your understanding as well?
Yeah, and that will really come out in that options analysis, but what that impact is going to be, but what those opportunities are. It has to work for everyone involved if there's going to be a change. We're proponents of general aviation and airports, so we want the airport to be successful. We want it to be the most successful that it can be. But if you are going to make a change, understanding it from your seat and from a local constituent perspective, it needs to work.
You
Completely
said you're a
understand.
proponent. I hope you go into this with no prejudice, pro or con.
No, not for we're a proponent of aviation and general aviation, not a certain, we're going to give our honest input of what we think is best in this situation based upon the details today. But we're a proponent for aviation, not for an answer in this.
Okay, thank you.
And from what you know, David, how many other or like situations are there in the U.S.? You've got a city airport basically, and then now we're talking about possibly combining the efforts of the city and the county and forming a new authority. But how common is it, I guess?
It's not uncommon. It's not the most common to have an authority. The majority of airports are city or municipality managed, so whether that's city or
Okay.
county individually. That goes back into the history of where airports came from and deeds from a federal level and all of those questions. But an authority can make a lot of sense in certain situations. They're not uncommon. They're fairly common. And there are a lot of airports, that we are talking with and working with that have these same questions of, is a different structure more beneficial for the asset that this airport is? So you're not in uncharted territory, but an authority is not by the most common governance structure.
Okay, thank you.
Again, thank you for coming. Thank you for taking on this assignment. It's a very important assignment for the city, for the county, the residents, taxpayers, et cetera. For economic development, it's an interesting avenue to pursue. What kind of capital funding sources are available typically to airports?
Well, you have local funding for sure, but there's a lot of, being a federally obligated airport, so going back to that FAA National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems, that allows you access into the AIP program, the Airport Improvement Program through the FAA. So, projects can be funded from an FAA standpoint, and they are currently. From a state standpoint, they can also be funded. It depends what the project is, but, if it's a runway extension, 90% of that can be federally funded. So there are different, that's one thing that we'll want to draw out from a informational basis in likely the options analysis of where those funding sources are and what they can fund, to help you understand and help constituents and taxpayers understand that airports are expensive places, but it's not all locally funded. Then you can, from the revenue of the airport, they can self-fund as well. So there are different avenues there, but federal, state, and then local are kind of your three main ones.
What key capital characteristics do you see in successful airports? Is it the runway, the taxiway, the hangars, the terminals?
Well, the runway, the question you mentioned earlier about the runway length, that is a key indicator. 5,000 feet is always a number that sticks out in our mind. Typical the general aviation fleet, so from a turbine jet standpoint down through the pistons, 5,000 is a big deal. You get over 5,000, now you can accommodate the majority of the fleet. So you already have that piece, or the airport already has that covered. Then it comes into what support services are there at the airport. From a fueling standpoint, from an aviation business, there's aircraft maintenance going on there. That's a big benefit to not only the local base tenants, but also to the surrounding area that can draw in business. Those aviation businesses are vitally important. The population base is always a driver as well. And how the airport and how the airport can integrate itself into development locally to support the mission kind of off airport. We want to move our business to Delaware or into the county. We need aviation access. We have options in Columbus, but how can the airport market itself, position itself to support that? That is a big driver, especially on the fuel side, and that supports then the operational budget of the airport. So, really, kind of the infrastructure is one, but then it's down into the aviation businesses and being able to work with interested parties, whether it's providing hangar or providing land leases so they can develop a hangar and house their aircraft, especially being in Ohio. I grew up in central Pennsylvania, but the weather, having a jet inside is kind of nice if it's going to be here all the time.
Okay. Kind of related, one last question, and what sort of aviation businesses or industries like to locate around airports or nearby airports? I guess that's two different. So one, on airport or off airport. Off airport is more from a corporate standpoint of relocating individuals from a business perspective. On airport, it really comes down to those standard businesses. Corporate flight departments obviously are important. There are new emerging technologies in the aviation, field from a UAS perspective, from an electric aircraft perspective. How does that fit with this area and some of the things going on here? Those are pieces that, as we move through this process, we're going to explore of what those opportunities could be.
that can ultimately go back to helping support the mission of the airport.
Okay, well, again, appreciate, any other questions?
Tracy Davies, County Administrator. Eric and I had the opportunity to meet with David and Joe earlier and kind of go through some details as they kick off the study.
Right. Yeah, we're very anxious to move this project along. We've been thinking about this for quite a while, and you know, we have a lot of ideas and
Yep.
a lot of questions about, you know, about our airport in particular as we dive into those discussions. We're very interested in your thoughts on it, so.
Yeah.
Again,
And part of our, you know, process and from a documentation standpoint will be that education side. You know, you could potentially be getting in the business of airports. Could be something new for the county. But as we go along, if there are questions that we can answer or we can flush out from a documentation standpoint, by all means, let us know. Happy to walk through any of that.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, Jennifer?
Item number 6, resolution number 23-1055, in the matter of approving supplemental appropriation and a transfer of appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Navi, Director of Finance. This request would authorize various year-end budget amendments, and most of these are attributed to healthcare increases that went into effect December 1st.
Okay. Questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1055. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Resolution number 23-1056, in the matter of reappointing a member and appointing a new member to the Berkshire Landing New Community Authority Board of Trustees.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jane Hawes, Director of Communications. We have before you a proposal to reappoint Seiji Kile to the Berkshire Landing New Community Authority, and then to appoint Justin Navi to the other vacancy, replacing John Houston. So we recommend your approval.
Okay. Questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1056. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1057, in the matter of appointing a member to the Delaware County Law Library Resources Board.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
With this one, we have for the law library, they've had a vacancy, an incumbent who was not seeking reappointment. So we are recommending Andrew Wecker to be appointed to fill that vacancy.
Okay. Questions, comments? I want to thank Andy publicly for his willingness to serve on this board. So,
He'll do a great job.
yeah, it brings a lot of
Yeah.
relationships and background to this important board. So, Jennifer, vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1057. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1058, in the matter of appointing a member to the Delaware Morrow Mental Health and Recovery Services Board.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
And with the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board, we have a vacancy because of an unexpired term, and we're recommending William Holzapfel to fill that seat.
Okay. Questions,
My comment, we've talked about several appointments here in the last 3 votes. I just want to applaud, and we've talked about it before, all the people in the county that apply for these positions that are willing to serve, and Zach applying for this position, he also serves on the Health Department Board, and he's done a great job, as many of these other people. I hope they continue to seek out these opportunities, because it makes a difference in our county, and I applaud everyone that applied, and of course, those that got appointed.
Right.
Yeah, and thank those who we've reappointed, like Cy Keeley. He does a great job. He's on several boards, so, yeah, it's really important to have excellent board members. You do a heck of a lot of work on it. You and Eric, James,
right.
thank you.
Yeah, it's what do we got, 25, 30 boards, something like that we appoint
Yes,
to? And
30.
the interview process can get complex, and we had a bunch of them this fall turn up. So, again, thank you, Jane, as well, and Eric, for working through these challenges. But again, Zach's going to do a great job. As Commissioner Merrill said, has done a really nice job on the Health District Board, so glad to see Zach. And the people who applied for the various boards who didn't get selected, we had a lot of really good candidates, so I want to encourage them to stay in touch, and we've got other boards that they can serve as well in the future. So, Jennifer, vote.
Vote on motion 23-1058. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1059, in the matter of donating county personal property not needed for public use to Erie County, Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Good morning, Chris Shaw, Record Center Coordinator. We would like to donate a Clayton cleaner, which is a processor cleaner, to Erie County that uses it. It's very corrosive, and if we would continue to use this cleaner, it would add approximately $2,000 to our budget a year. We have found what we like and what we've used for years, which is called AdClean, which is a lot more expensive, or excuse me, a lot less expensive.
Okay, all right. Questions, comments? Vote, please.
Moving on, motion 23-1059, Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you.
Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Resolution number 23-1060, in the matter of awarding a bid to and approving a contract with Peterson Construction Company for the package plant upgrades project for Delaware County Regional Sewer District.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Mag, Director of Environmental Services. So this is a project that's been about 6 years in the making through the design process, and it's a pretty significant project. We're upgrading Tartan Fields plant, Lower Scioto plant, and also decommissioning the Scioto Reserve plant, building a pump station in place at that plant, and then pumping the flow up to Lower Scioto. Also bringing the effluent flow back to the golf course at Scioto Reserve per our contract with the developer that we have to supply water to aerate the golf course. Also upgrading the O'Shaughnessy pump station, which will allow that flow to be conveyed over to Lower Scioto. So a lot of work going on, a lot of moving parts, a lot of sequencing of construction. We received one bid. The engineer's estimate was $12.5 million. The low bid was $13.4 million, which was 7.4% above the estimate. We have about a 30-month construction window because of all the sequencing. We're anticipating it to be completed quicker, but we'll find that out once we have the pre-construction meeting.
Boy, very important upgrades.
Yeah, a lot of projects
Yes.
been worked on for several years.
Yeah, and
Yes.
especially like the Tartan Fields and Scioto Reserve plants, they're, you know, they're older, in need of some useful life upgrades. So this will be really, really good for us long-term from an efficiency perspective at those plants.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, further questions, comments? Vote, Jennifer?
Vote on motion 23-1060, Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1061, in the matter of setting the bid date and time to receive bids for the density current baffle supply contract for the Delaware County Regional Sewer District.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So these baffles are needed for us to improve our secondary clarifier operation and efficiency. We have a quote for $187,000 for these 4 baffles. We're going to actually do the installation in-house, so this contract is just to purchase those baffles.
Okay, questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1061, Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1062, in the matter of approving a transfer of funds for the Regional Sewer District.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So these are just our annual transfers that we do at the end of the year, every year. We transfer from our 662 fund, which is where our revenues come in, over to our 666 fund, which is our operation and maintenance capital projects. We have $8.9 million going into that fund. And then our 667 is our capital improvement projects. There's $611,000 going into that fund. And then we based our 2024 budget on these numbers as well.
Okay. Questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1062, Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Just a minute, and we'll have our update. November through 1st of December.
You got it? Thank you. Okay, so this is our month of November projects that were approved by the county administrator. So first of all, we have the set of plan approvals. First one is Clark Shaw Crossing. This is, sorry, see if I can figure out this mouse here. This is over in the Lower Scioto tributary area, that project number 1 in pink. You see it's over on the west side. That one was a MI project with 47 single-family lots and then also 28 condo units. And then we had Woodcrest Crossing over there in the same area. This was 93 lots by MI Homes at Hyatt's and Stites. So MI has quite a bit of projects moving forward over in that Clark Shaw and Woodcrest area. And then we have Hyatt's Meadows. This is 67 single-family lots by Lifestyle Communities, just north of Hyatt's Road, west of 23. And then finally, on the plan approvals, Aurora Farms. This is in Orange Township. It's 79 condo units on the east side of North Road, kind of up against the railroad tracks over there in that area. And then as far as subdividers agreements, we have Slate Ridge. This is one that I think we saw last month on the plan approvals. It's an extension to get sewer to the neighboring properties. This one has 16 single-family lots associated with it through the Pulte development. Then we had the Berlin Business Park Force Main that was up for final approval. And then Berkshire Crossing, this is the American Homes for Rent project. They have Section 1 and Section 2, 48 lots in Section 1, and then 52 in Section 2. And this is up near 71 and 3637. And then another Clarkshaw project, Clarkshaw Moors, Section 6, Phase B. This is a Rockford project. And then, let me zoom over here. We finally have the McGuire extension. This project has been on the last couple of months as well. It's an extension to a single-family home that's building an accessory residence structure. So you've seen this one here a couple times, so they're in for final approval now as well. So with that, I'll take any questions.
I have a comment.
Sure, go ahead.
The resolutions and the description you just gave, we have a lot going on in our county. I just want to applaud you and your department for all the balls you're juggling and keeping things moving. Economic growth in our county is dependent upon sewer, environmental services, and it's made possible because of your effort and your team. I just want to say thank you as we approach the end of the year for all you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And we got a lot of projects out there in front of us that we still got to get approved into the finish line, so.
We sure do, yeah. We have absolutely a lot of balls in the air, a lot of construction, a lot of planning and permitting to get across the finish line. So we're certainly keeping our eye on all those things. And, you know, obviously I have a really great team, and I appreciate the support that you continue to give us at the sewer district.
We certainly appreciate you, Tiffany.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Say that. Thank you, though.
I'll do those remarks as well.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yep. Didn't have anything else? Thank you, Tiffany.
Great. Thank
As
you.
always,
Tiffany.
Appreciate the update. Jennifer?
Item number 15, resolution number 23-1063, in the matter of accepting the roads, approving recommended speed limits, establishing stop conditions, and releasing securities for Berlin Manor Section 2, Woodcrest Crossing Section 2, Woodcross Section 3, and Woodcrest Crossing Section 4.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Morning, Rob Riley, Chief Deputy Engineer. We have a number of roads that have been through the required one-year developer maintenance period and are ready to go on the public system at this point. Berlin Manor, excuse me, located off Cheshire Road, and then Woodcrest Crossing. We've got 3 sections there that are located in Liberty Township, south of Clarkshaw Road.
Okay, questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1063, Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1064, in the matter of authorizing the purchase of equipment for the engineer's office.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
We would like to get an order in for a 2025 replacement dump truck. As you may know, there's a really long lead time for heavy vehicles right now. And so we would not take delivery of this new dump truck until probably late next year. That's how long it takes to get these orders filled. And then secondly, we were able to locate a used utility truck. It's a 1-ton vehicle with utility bed, crane, basically to replace an old shop vehicle that we have. And we think we're getting pretty good value out of this, because to outfit a new truck the way we would need it for a shop vehicle would actually cost more than what we're proposing to pay for this. And so our mechanics have checked this out. It's in good shape, runs well, and we'd like to go ahead and purchase that.
Questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1064, Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1065, in the matter of approving plans, specifications, setting the bid date and time for the 2024 materials and services for Delaware County Engineer.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
As you know, throughout the year, we use a lot of different products and services on maintenance of our roads. We have traditionally contracted those on an annual basis, and so we would like to do that again, going out to bid for things like prefabricated culverts, tree clearing, curb and sidewalk construction, asphalt materials, and other things that we use on an as-needed basis throughout the year.
Okay. Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1065. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1066, in the matter of approving right-of-way work permit summary sheet.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I've got 6 utility installation permits for you. These are all pretty typical permits.
Okay. Comments? Vote, Jennifer?
Vote on motion 23-1066. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1067, in the matter of accepting improvements within the project known as Clarkshaw Reserve and releasing construction security.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Clarkshaw Reserve, the new streets in that subdivision were completed this fall, so we would like to, those were completed last fall, and so they're ready to go on the public system.
Okay. Questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1067. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1068, in the matter of approving weight limit reductions on various roads in the county.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
You may recall that each year we get a list of roads from our townships that are in a condition that can be damaged from the truck traffic in the winter and spring months when the road subgrade gets wet and freezes and thaws. The Ohio law allows for local agencies to reduce the weight limits on the roads to prevent that damage from occurring, and so that's what this resolution provides for. The reduction would be in place between February 1st and June 1st of next year. You'll note that there are no county roads on this. These are strictly township roads. Really thanks to the investment that we've made and your board has supported over the years, we're able to not have any reductions on county roads, which is really important for the movement of commerce and goods throughout the county on roads that can handle those weights through the winter months.
Okay. I know we do this every year.
We do.
Roads, help keep the roads in good shape. Jennifer, vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1068. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1069, in the matter of establishing a maintenance bond and releasing construction bond for Hidden Ravines Crossing.
So moved. Second.
Discussion.
This involves the new streets and stormwater improvements near the BJ's Wholesale on Route 23. The work has been done, and so we'd like to put that work on the one-year developer maintenance.
Okay. Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1069. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-1070, in the matter of approving the plan specifications setting the bid date and time for the project known as ORC 6131 Drainage Improvement Project, RIBOB number 620 Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
We are ready to go out to bid on this project. We are expecting to get started on this project through the winter and have it wrapped up in the spring.
Okay. Questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-1070. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
It is time that we may start our 10 o'clock hearing. We do need a minute to, we have a landowner who had an accommodation, so he may or may not be waiting for us on a Teams location, so.
Oh, okay. So you need to try to get them online?
you hear us now?
Can't hear him.
You can hear us okay? Okay. I think we're ready.
Okay. Well, we will open the first hearing for the consideration of the McAllister number 574 watershed drainage improvement petition filed by Joseph DeFrancis and others. It is 10:13 a.m. on December 11th, 2023. So I will read the notes on what we will do today in this first hearing. I'd like to welcome everyone to this first hearing. There is a sign-in sheet circulating the room, and we ask that you please sign the sheet to indicate your attendance. First, we'll hear a report from the county engineer and Soil and Water Conservation District. There are copies of that report available. Following the presentation, there will be time for questions from the board. After board questions, the board will hear from any interested owners that wish to testify. Before accepting testimony for or against the petition, the board will acknowledge receipt of any landowner written testimony before hearing live testimony. Have we had any, Jennifer?
We have not had anything turned in writing.
Okay. After that, we'll first call all those wishing to testify in favor of the petition. We will then call all those wishing to testify in opposition to the petition. Before testifying, you'll be asked to take an oath. After all those wishing to testify for or against the petition have been heard, there will be an opportunity for responsive or rebuttal testimony. The board will then close the public hearing after all testimony and evidence has been presented. After listening to testimony and the report of the engineer, the board will decide whether to proceed with the survey and design or dismiss the petition. The board must consider the following factors in making its decision. 1, whether the proposed improvement is necessary. 2, whether the proposed improvement will be conducive to the public welfare. And 3, whether the cost of the proposed improvement will be less than the benefit the improvement provides. If the board proceeds with the petition, the Delaware County Engineer will then prepare plans, reports, and individual schedules of assessments for the project. When those plans are complete, a final hearing will be set. Notification of the hearing will be given to landowners, and the board will consider the project then. With that, I will turn it over to Brett Bacon and assume you're going to read in the report.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brett Bacon, Deputy Administrator, Soil and Water Conservation District. I will necessarily read the first hearing report into the record for you. First hearing report, McAllister number 574 watershed drainage petition per ORC 6131, December 11th, 2023. This report has been prepared for the preliminary hearing on a drainage improvement petition filed by Joseph DeFrancis on June 7th, 2023, and amended by Tawa Run Farms, LLC on June 23rd, 2023, and amended again by Terry Taylor on July 5th, 2023. The amendments were accepted by the Commissioners on November 9th, 2023. The original petition and amendments have been signed by 5 individuals representing 4 of the 33 parcels in the watershed. The general location and course of the requested improvements is quoted from the petition as follows. In Delaware County, Thompson Township, within the McAllister number 574 watershed, and generally following but not limited to the course and termini of the existing improvements. The following is the nature of the work petitioned, as quoted from the petition. To generally improve the drainage, both surface and subsurface, to a good and sufficient outlet by replacing, repairing, or altering the existing improvements as required and or creating new surface and subsurface drainage mains or laterals as requested by this petition. Petition process. This petition has been submitted according to Section 6131 of the Ohio Revised Code, or ORC, which authorizes the Board of Commissioners to act on behalf of benefited property owners to make drainage improvements. If the Board of Commissioners decides to proceed with a project, the costs related to the improvements in the development of plans, report, and schedules are assessed to the landowners in the watershed according to the benefit received to their watershed acreage. These special assessments will be added to the property taxes for each property and can be spread over a maximum of a 15-year period. Property owners may also choose to pay their assessment in a lump sum payment prior to placement on their property taxes. Additionally, the improvements will be placed on the Delaware County Drainage Maintenance Program in perpetuity per ORC Section 6137, and the annual maintenance assessment will appear on property tax statements as a special assessment in the same manner as the construction assessments. These annual maintenance assessments are generally in the range of 2 to 5% of the construction assessment. It should be noted that property owners are only assessed for those improvements that are located downstream from their properties. No property is assessed for improvements located upstream. The public agencies that own rights-of-way for public roads would also be assessed for both construction and maintenance costs in the same manner as private property owners. The decision to approve a petition project is a three-step process. First, a viewing of the proposed improvement is conducted for the commissioners to familiarize themselves with the watershed and general conditions. The commissioners conducted the viewing for this project by drone video on September 28, 2023. Next, a preliminary hearing is held to consider the initial feasibility of the proposal. It is this preliminary first hearing that is before us today. If this petition is approved, a final hearing will be conducted to further consider this petition. At that time, final details such as engineering plans and specifications, cost estimates, and a proposed schedule of assessments will be known. Existing conditions. The Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District and Delaware County Engineers Office have made the following observations using on-site evaluation and a review of available aerial photography, topographic mapping, and soils mapping. The McAllister number 574 watershed, as defined for this hearing, measures 539 acres. The predominant land use within the watershed is agricultural, with smaller areas of rural residential, woods, and road rights-of-way also being present. The McAllister number 574 drainage system was originally constructed utilizing the drainage petition process in 1902 and revisited in 1926. The drainage system does not appear to be functioning at or near optimum capacity due to a lack of comprehensive maintenance and the generally deteriorated condition of the infrastructure. The absence of uniform surface grading has resulted in areas of surface ponding. Sporadic blowouts along the course of the existing subsurface drain have also been observed. These blowouts are a result of an aged and overburdened subsurface drainage system. While the existing drainage system still provides some degree of drainage benefit, it does not appear to function as a good and sufficient outlet. Construction estimate. Items of work would include the following basic elements: surface drain shaping and grading, seeding and mulching of disturbed areas, the removal of brush and vegetation, and subsurface drain installation ranging in size of approximately 10-inch to 30-inch in diameter. Construction, $676,686. Administration, engineering, and inspection, $30,000. Drainage maintenance, ORC 6137, first-year startup, 5% of the construction estimate, $33,834. Total project estimate, $740,520. The above estimate assumes complete replacement of the existing subsurface drain pipe and reconstruction of the existing surface grade. Should the project proceed beyond this first hearing, the capacity and condition of the existing infrastructure will be evaluated according to the applicable engineering standards. Any reach of the project that meets these standards in its current condition may be considered for inclusion into the drainage maintenance program without requiring improvement. Notes: it is important to understand that the above estimates are preliminary and made in the absence of a current detailed topographic survey of the project area. Should the project fail to be approved at the final hearing, the benefiting landowners, as defined by ORC 6131, may still be responsible for the cost of project administration, survey, and engineering design. This estimate does not contain an amount for construction contingency costs. The necessary amount for contingency is calculated for the final hearing as part of engineering design. Typically, contingency is calculated at 15 to 20% of the final construction cost estimate. As an example, a 15% contingency of this first hearing estimate would be $101,502. Assessments. If the project moves forward to the second hearing, the Ohio Revised Code instructs the county engineer to calculate the assessments to individual property owners based on the benefits received from the improvements for the various properties in the watershed. ORC 6137 states that, quote, uplands that have been removed from their natural state by deforestation, cultivation, artificial drainage, urban development, or other man-made causes shall be considered as benefited by an improvement required to dispose of the accelerated flow of water from the uplands. Benefits are further defined as elimination or reduction of damage from flood, removal of water conditions that jeopardize public health, safety, or welfare, increased value of land resulting from the improvement. Individual parcel assessments are not calculated for the preliminary hearing and are only calculated if the petition moves forward to a second or final hearing. Factors favorable or unfavorable. ORC 6131, requires the county engineer to state in a report the factors favorable and unfavorable to a proposed project, estimate the cost of the project, and state an opinion as to whether the benefits of the project exceed the cost. The following information is presented for your consideration. Factors favorable to the improvement. Improved surface and subsurface drainage in the watershed, improved outlet for subsurface drainage components of household sewage treatment systems and for residential drainage systems, reduction of future deterioration of surface and subsurface drainage infrastructure, annual inspections and maintenance of the improvement in perpetuity. Factors unfavorable to the improvement. Temporary land use disruption during construction, cost of construction and maintenance may be a burden to some landowners, removal of existing trees and brush in improvement area. Benefits versus cost. Assessments for property within the watershed are calculated based on the benefits derived. A publication by the Ohio State University Extension titled Returns to Farm Drainage details several studies conducted by Ohio State researchers on the effects of drainage on crop yields. The studies show that fields with good drainage will produce higher yields than fields that have poor drainage. A recently completed 25-year study showed that subsurface drainage increased corn yields by 24% to 39% and increased soybean yields by 13% to 46%. The same study also analyzed the return on investment for installing subsurface drainage in a field and found that for corn, $4 is returned for every $1 invested, and for soybeans, $3 is returned for every $1 invested. There are approximately 500 acres in the watershed currently being used for agricultural production. The average estimated yield increases for the soil types present in the watershed, given the appropriate drainage improvements are in place, are approximately 46 bushels per acre for corn and 14 bushels per acre for soybeans. Using current 2-year average crop prices from the USDA National Agricultural Statistics Service of $6.18 per bushel for corn and $14 per bushel for soybeans, it can be estimated that drainage improvements can potentially produce an average annual benefit of $120,000. This estimate assumes an even distribution of corn and soybeans in the watershed. To state it generally, the benefits of drainage will equal the increased yield multiplied by the market price. The increased value or benefit for residential properties is much more subjective and difficult to quantify. For residential properties, the lack of an adequate drainage outlet can dramatically deteriorate the condition of household sewage treatment systems, potentially limiting the value of the home for resale. Should the existing system fail, the cost to perform repairs or construct an alternate sewage treatment system can range from the thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. It would also be reasonable to consider the cost of environmental degradation due to residential sewage treatment systems that may not be functioning properly. Other benefits that are commonly perceived as a result of drainage improvements focus on quality of life and positive neighborhood perception. Communities that have planned and maintained stormwater drainage infrastructures generally have higher resale values than those communities that are known to have a history of drainage problems or flooding. Conclusions. Based on all of the information gathered and generated for this project, I believe this project is technically feasible and would adequately serve the project area's drainage needs. However, the testimony brought to the board by the landowners as to whether the benefits of this project exceed the costs should be given significant consideration in the decision to move forward with this project. Should the current petition be approved to proceed to a final hearing, the petition bond will be returned and detailed plans, specifications, estimated costs, and a schedule of assessments would be prepared. Additionally, a benefit versus cost analysis will also be performed to further determine the feasibility of advancing this proposed project.
Okay, thank you, Brett. Questions from the board?
Just an observation, I may have misunderstood you, but under the benefits versus costs, increased soybean yields, I thought I heard you say 13% to 26%. It says 46 here, just for the record, so we're on the same page.
We'll go with what's in writing.
Okay, and you may have said 46, I may have misunderstood.
I'm not sure. I was
think I
reading
heard
so
46.
long, I
Good.
lost track.
Good point to emphasize.
Yes.
Brett, I noticed the report does assume complete replacement of the subsurface drainage tiles.
Yes, that's correct. For a first hearing report, we have to assume worst-case conditions, worst-case scenario. So to be responsible in our estimate, we have to assume complete replacement of the system or reconstruction of the system is going to be necessary. There has been some recent work in recent, I'll say within the last probably 7 to 8 years, on the bottom end of the project. I know there was a significant grass waterway project that our office assisted along with USDA with one of the landowners. So I do expect that, or would not be shocked, maybe is a better word to use or phrasing to use, that there are parts of this project that may not need replacement. And obviously, if that's the case, we would find that they would be taken onto maintenance but not disturbed or need no additional construction or improvement to meet our specifications and the qualifications for that to go on to maintenance. So that would obviously reduce the cost of construction of the project. Not something that we obviously will know for certain until we get out there and start our survey work, our field work. But it's certainly something that we'll definitely be taking a look at if your board approves the project to move forward.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for that clarification. No further questions. We will open it up to comments from residents in the watershed. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll first call all those who wish to testify in favor of the petition. So now's, again, you don't have to testify, but if you want to speak in favor of the petition, now is the time.
Commissioner Benton, since I am unaware of how Mr. Beanall will wishes to testify, whether or not he is for or in favor, we're going to try and catch him on video now. If that
Okay.
What? I cannot hear him. Mr. Beanall, we are trying to have us be able to hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There we go.
I hear you now.
All right. Commissioner Benton is going to offer you an oath, and then you may testify.
So you wish to speak in favor of the petition?
I wish to speak against it.
Oh, okay. We're doing the favor, and those who wish to speak in favor of it first. So we'll come back to you in a little bit here. So, anyone, again, you don't have to testify, but if you wish to testify in favor of the petition, now's the time. Okay, don't see any takers. Last chance. All right, no one is going to speak in favor of the petition, so at this point, we'll open it up to those who wish to speak in opposition, and we'll we'll turn it over to our guest on the remote feed.
You still need to offer him his oath.
Yep, you ready to go?
I am.
Okay, I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, you may proceed.
Okay, so my testimony against, I feel like the proposal is kind of long on promises and short on detail about how the county plans to accomplish it. It starts off saying that the cost will be assessed to the landowners according to the benefit received in their watershed acreages. That kind of implies that everybody gets would get an equal benefit of increased drainage would be an equal benefit to everybody, but the way that the costs are assessed, which I don't think that the county has adequately addressed to the other landowners, is that as you go further up the watershed, the costs go higher. So in this particular case, we're talking about an estimate of $750,000 over 500 acres, so that's about an average of $1,500 an acre. But the people at the bottom, their assessment is going to be someplace around, I don't know, $100 or $200 an acre. The people at the top of the watershed, they're going to get hit with a price of about at least $2,000 to $3,000 an acre. And so the benefits really don't get equally spread under this system of proposal. The special assessment that's added to the property tax for a maximum of 15 years is pretty vague. You know, I consider like a lot of the stuff in this proposal to be vague and not, if you were doing any kind of agreement with somebody, you would expect to have a little bit more detail. It just says that it's going to be assessed to the property tax for a maximum of 15 years. It doesn't say who defines that or whether it's who says it's going to be 10, who says it's going to be 5. It doesn't say the interest rate. It doesn't talk about who determines the duration. When does it start? Does it start like right after the last hearing, or does it start after the project is over? Like once the water is completed, or do you start collecting it immediately? It doesn't state whether or not the obligation stays with the owner or goes with the land in the event of a sale. And where's all this written down? I have no idea where the rules are that are about. The property owners also can make a lump sum payment for the placement on the property tax. Again, it doesn't say when this is due. I know in the 6131 it says it's due 30 days after the final hearing, which is a bit of a short leash, I think, for that. So basically the county is saying that you have to pay your share of this before any bit of tile is laid, before any improvement, before any benefit is received. The county's asking everybody in the watershed to pay. It doesn't answer how long the county has to start the project before the money it says when this is due. Okay, an annual maintenance assessment will appear on the property tax statement as a special assessment for an additional 2 to 5% a year. Now, 2 to 5% a year seems like a tax for a brand new system that's put in. It's hard to believe that there's going to be 2 to 5% of costs that go with this per year. It doesn't say who determines that amount. It doesn't say, is it based solely on the expense of this watershed, or is it based on a county-wide assessment? There's nothing that says anything about that. Is the money specifically earmarked for this watershed, or does it go to a general fund? Does somebody manage this fund? Is it reported? And do we as landowners get copies of the reports? In this particular case, we're talking about $15,000 to $37,000 a year additional on top of the $750,000 that the county is asking for, which seems like a lot of money to maintain this system. I have to put a system 8 years ago for $500,000, and I haven't spent a nickel to maintain that system. So I'm against it for that reason. Is this assessment on this 2 to 5%, is it assessed based off of the acreage, or is it assessed based off the sliding scale of expenses? In other words, do the people at the top of the watershed pay more of this 2 to 5% than the people at the bottom of the watershed? It makes no sense to me. It says the property owners are successfully referred to as located downstream. Okay. I have questions about the existing conditions. I would like to know on the original McAllister that was put in 1902 when they revisited in 1926. Was that paid for by the county or was it paid for by the landowners? And if it was paid for by the landowners, were they collecting fees to maintain that system all along? Or who owns that system? No idea. Did they stop maintaining, did the county stop maintaining the mains at some point? Or was that up to the farmers to maintain it? And does the county currently own a right-of-way on the existing system? And what is the language on the right-of-way? If the county does have a right-of-way for those systems, what's the language? And, okay, just a couple of more items here. On the construction estimate, I would like to know what the size of the existing lengths, what the size and the lengths of the existing lines are, and does the county intend to increase the amount of drainage? Obviously, since these were put in 100 years ago, I don't think they would size up to handle the modern sort of 40-foot spacing that everybody puts in. Will line size increase loads presented by today's systematic tiling? What are the engineering parameters for the surface drainage? I don't, there's nothing spelled out about how the surface drainage is going to be taken into consideration. There's nothing in here that the county has no responsibility if they construct a surface drain that I can't farm through. There's no recourse. There's no way to come back and say, hey, you just cut a ditch through my land that I can't farm through. It's just a promise. Does the county claim? Does the county intend to claim a permanent easement for the project after the county puts this waterway through? Does that establish a permanent easement that the county owns? And if it does, what are the parameters of that easement? Usually, with easements, there are quite a bit of language goes with it in terms of what it can and can't do and what's supposed to go with it. I have the impression that on these projects that creates an easement. So nobody's actually sufficiently answered that. Who picks the contractor? Like all of us, all the landowners are going to pay for it, but I have the impression the contractor is going to be picked by somebody at the county in terms of how they do it. And it seems like if we're going to pay for it, it seems like the landowner should pick the contractor. Obviously, all town contractors aren't equal. I don't think in a case of this magnitude for $750,000, going with the lowest bid contractor and the cheapest tile manufacturer would be would give us a system that's going to have a long-term maintenance. It doesn't say anything about soil compaction during the construction. It doesn't talk about how that's going to be handled. It doesn't say whether or not the contractor is going to be restricted to installation during non-crop times of the year, or can they just put it in and if it can, then compensate for crop damage. It doesn't restrict the contractors from taking away our topsoil. In fact, on the last job I saw, the contractor is required to take away the topsoil. So I think that would be probably that anybody that owns land in there would not want to have their topsoil taken away. I know people who can make a lot of promises, but none of these issues are addressed in writing. You know, somebody from the county can say, hey, look, none of that's going to happen, but it's not in writing anyway. The last part, the last thing I'd like to comment on is which is probably the most salient point, is that it's required that the costs are less than the benefits. The county has quoted, let me get to the page here. In the benefits of the cost, the county engineer has referenced an Ohio State University extension returns to farm drainage. And it says a recent completed 25-year study shows that subsurface drainage increased corn yields. Okay, everybody knows 25 to 39%, soybeans 13 to 46%. Now the problem with this quoting this, and it almost seems, it makes me angry because clearly he's an engineer and clearly knows this study doesn't apply to what we're talking about here today. We're talking about replacing mains in fields that already have mains in them that are already working. And the study that the engineer is quoting was for fields that have no tile in them whatsoever versus fields that were systematically tiled. That means they put in mains, they put in runners every 40 feet, and then they made a comparison and they did a study. And they came up with this study and said, you know, if you did that, you know, you're going to get these kind of increases. But there's not even a snowball's chance that replacing the mains is going to give these kind of yields and these kind of returns to the farmers that are farming in these fields. They then go on to use the last two numbers of corn at $6 per bushel for corn, and they claim an average annual benefit of $120,000 based off of that, which I think everybody, anybody that's in here would be happy to have a $6 bushel for corn average for the next 15 years. I don't think anybody in here believes that corn is going to be at $6.50 a bushel for the next 10 years. The other part of that sort of rubs me wrong, and I know that the engineer knows this, is that the average annual benefit, even if it was $120,000, that would say over $750,000 job, that's what, 6 years or something, a 6-year payback. That would be like if everybody in the whole watershed paid an average amount for the improvement, but that's not the case. The people at the top of the watershed are going to pay 10 or 15 times more than the people at the bottom of the watershed. So is there a benefit? The benefit to the guy at the bottom, he probably has a 6-month payback. The guy at the top of the watershed, he probably has like a 50-year payback. If there was even the payback that was listed here, and I'm saying it's not even close. Like the type of returns and stuff that are going to be seen are not even in the ballpark. And therefore, my testimony would say that the cost does not even remotely come close to the benefit. That the benefit is just not even in the ballpark. The cost far exceeds it. And that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, if you could identify, do you have a map in front of you so we could see which parcel or parcels is yours?
It's right here. It's 21.
Yes.
Number what? 25?
My parcel is parcel 23.
23? Okay. Okay. I think you can testify either way. Okay,
Yes.
Brett, maybe you could answer
Yeah.
some of the questions.
I-
Some of the questions will obviously be answered as the second, if it goes to the second hearing.
I have a question though too for our council, Eric.
You want Eric first?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Eric first or me first?
Eric first.
Eric first, please. Mr. DeFrancis is a petitioner, correct?
Mr. DeFrancis is the one who submitted the petition. This is not
Isn't-
Mr. DeFrancis.
That's who?
It's another, who is it then?
The person testifying is not the
Mr.
petitioner.
DeFrancis.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Again, just kind of a general comment, a number of the points raised by this gentleman was not, will be answered when the final hearing report, again, if we go that far.
Absolutely. A lot of the questions that Mr. Bino are things that we just do not have the ability to present or to answer in
Right.
any detail at all at this stage of the process. That is why the process exists as it does. Our authority or our responsibility to develop a plan does not go into effect until after we get past this first hearing, and a lot of the points that he made would be addressed in a final set of engineering plans and engineering report. If the board has any questions for me about some of the points that Mr. Benow raised, I'd be happy to answer them. A lot of the questions that Mr. Benow asked, the answers to those lie directly within the Ohio Revised Code, Section 6131. I would encourage him to read that section of the code, and then we also have a wealth of information about the drainage petition process and this project specifically on the Soil and Water Conservation District's website. Would encourage him to take a look at that, and then if he has remaining questions, I know he has my email. He can reach out to me directly, and I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay. Very good. Question?
Well, we've heard a negative. Generally, it's very unusual to come to one of these and have petitioners and no one speaks in behalf. Is there anyone here that's speaking in favor of this or not?
Okay. Okay. Let's go on then. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to the petition? Okay. You want to come up to the microphone? I will swear you in.
Is that the public comment sheet? When we have hearings, we waive the public comment sheet, so that was not necessary, but thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if you could identify yourself and your parcel number or numbers.
Janice Steed.
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah.
Janice Steed, co-owner of Stony Lee Farms, parcels 9 and 28.
9 and 28. Okay.
We are not
Oh,
vehemently,
let me swear you in.
pardon?
Let me swear you in.
Oh, sorry.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, you can proceed.
We're not vehemently opposed. We just wish to temper the expectations of the end results. Speaking as an owner of the 140 of the 539 acres in the watershed, or just over 25%, we have some concerns. Over the last 10 years, we have put in systematic tiling, and there are many existing tie-ins. And that's always a concern, that those get reconnected, concerned at that way. We also put in the aforementioned waterway that was constructed. After you do a lot of systematic tiling, there's working in, covering the ground, making sure it all settles in. We got that done. This would be restarting that process. We will not see the projected 46 bushels of corn or the increase of 14 bushels of soybeans, because we've already done that work of the tiling and have seen that because of our own efforts and expense. Always there's concern about being deprived of the use of the land during the construction. And just a comment, we have not seen any of the blowouts. I'm not saying they don't occur, but they're not in the lower part of the extension. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Continuing on, anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to the petition? Okay, last chance. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All right. That concludes the testimony at this point. Other questions from commission to Okay, well, we will close the hearing. That's our next step, right, Jennifer?
Yes,
We'll make sure we do this correctly.
we'll note the time.
Okay. The hearing is closed as of 10:51.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll open it up for comments.
As I just got through saying, it is hard to imagine we have a petition before us and we have no one speaking in support of it. So I'm in a position right now, I don't believe I can do anything other than recommend dismissing the petition. It takes a lot of time, a lot of people to put these things together and do all the work that's been done. But I also have to honor the process. And based on what I've heard today, I can't support going forward.
Okay. Mr. Lewis?
Yes, I would ask the clerk to read.
Resolution number 23-1071, in the matter of dismissing the McAllister number 574 watershed drainage improvement petition filed by Joseph D. Francisco and others.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I'll just reiterate what I've already said. These petitions are, the purpose of these petitions is to improve the situation for all the landowners in the area. And it's an important process that should be taken seriously. And certainly there's an opportunity to refile, but based on what we've heard today, I cannot support it. And I will vote to dismiss.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I mean, the petitioner did not come forward to justify the petition. None of the petitioners did, and I can't move forward with it either.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of in the same spot. $740,000 is a significant sum, and so it would be necessary to provide significant, obvious, improved yield, since it's mostly agricultural. And I just don't see that the benefit is greater than the cost, so at this point. So again, can always start the process again, provide us further evidence and so on. But Jennifer, let's take a vote.
Vote on motion 23-1071. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye. All right, petition is dismissed.
All right. That brings us to either administrative reports and commissioner committee reports, or we can move into executive session, sir.
Now let's do commissioner reports real quick.
Yeah, we'll make it real quick. We were all involved with the CCO annual meeting last week, and I thought there were some good meetings. Multiple the MFA meeting I attended give backup and protection on misuse of our systems. The speaker said that his system at the paper he works at Woods County, the county he's involved in, Woods County, was about 30%. So I texted Steve Lewis during that meeting, and we're around 85 to 95%, depending on the parameters. So I applaud our efforts, and we're close to 100%. And I think we'll be there by another month if everybody participates and gets us there. And I think we should be very proud of what we're going on. I believe there's a township that still has some work to do, and I think that's being addressed as well. So I applaud Delaware County's efforts.
Yep, big risk. Of course, I was identified it as a significant risk, cyber crimes. So, yeah, Commissioner Lewis.
I attended the PIN, People in Need Holiday Clearinghouse yesterday, and I believe they served 400 and over 400, actually it was over 450 families. Yeah. It's always very heartwarming to see everyone come in and so they can really give their family a Merry Christmas. I just congratulate the executive director, Kathy Hoff, and also all the other workers in PIN and all the volunteers. Saw some of our other office holders there, and it's just a great event, so wonderful.
Yeah, 475 families, 1,200 kids.
Yeah.
And my wife and I were there as well, and it is very heartwarming. It's just incredible, the generosity
It is.
of the county, and it's so widespread. Churches, agencies, individuals, businesses, just stepping up and, providing a great Christmas for those who need some help. CCAO conference did go very well. I thought it was, again, interesting as always. The Morpsey Executive Committee meeting we had Thursday was very interesting as well. Focus there now is obviously continuing on water study and water needs, and in particular reuse of water, because water is such a critical component of economic development now. But it's also beginning to be power is also beginning to be a focus, because there is tremendous power needs in the future to add businesses to our economy. And AEP and others who provide power are challenged with providing significantly more power in the coming years. We got DKMM meeting tomorrow. I'm going to the Shawnee Hills Chamber of Commerce luncheon on Wednesday. Always good to visit that community. And did the state ag easement board meeting on Thursday, I guess it was Friday, and that went well. So that is it. We do need to go into executive session.
We
Jennifer?
do. Resolution number 23-1072, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of purchase of property for public purposes, to consider the sale of property at competitive bidding and for collective bargaining.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote?
Vote on motion 23-1072. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
All right, we're now in executive session.
Thank you.